Hey, right. I know I'm doing a read along with Crime and Punishment already. Some of you will know, and I thank you for joining. I'm really excited for it. I started reading it today, but that's not what this is about. This is about another announcement of a read along of Lord Fowl's Bane by Stephen Donaldson. This is the first of the Chronicles of Thomas Covenant, The Unbeliever. These are books that I have read multiple times throughout my life. The first time would have been when I was 17, 18, round about that age. And this is the first of three in the Chronicles of Thomas Covenant, The Unbeliever. It's followed by the Second Chronicles of Thomas Covenant, The Unbeliever, another 3 books. And then it's completed by the Last Chronicles of Thomas Covenant, The Unbeliever, which is made up of 4 books. So the first 2 trilogies I've read, I don't even know how many times, multiple times. These are the reason my wedding band is made of white gold, of course. So I've started a podcast with a good friend of mine, an old pal from my university days, back probably around the time when I was reading this for the first time. He was my pal in first year, as soon as I started at St Andrews Uni, and we've been friends ever since. So it's a long-term friendship. And he is not a fantasy book reader. I don't believe he's ever read any books in that genre. So I was surprised when I asked him if he would like to co-host a podcast with me when he said yes. Surprised and delighted, I have to say. And already we have recorded up to chapter 10, so page 141. I think we've got 5 episodes recorded plus the pilot. We haven't launched yet, but I've set up all of the hosting and the Patreon and all that back end stuff that one has to do to launch a podcast. I did all that over the weekend, and I'm hoping to get the artwork back from my pal Barge in order to launch on Friday. So the goal is to be publishing 1 podcast episode a week, covering 1 chapter of the book. And so far we've managed to do it 6 weeks in a row, so it's looking good. We've got a consistent schedule going, which is really what it's all about. If you want to be consistent with a podcast, that's how to do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a read-along on the Storygraph app, which is the same thing as I've done with Crime and Punishment. So the Storygraph app looks like a really good place for doing this kind of thing. So if you would like to join me in reading this epic fantasy novel, then check out the link down below to the Storygraph read-along. If you want to read the synopsis or anything like that, of course I will put links to the book in the description as well, and you can go and check it out. This book was written in 1977, and the last of the Last Chronicles, I believe, was written in 2005. So the author's been at it for a long time, and I have read other books by the same author. He's one of my favourite authors, actually. But these books in particular, they've been with me since I was in my late teens, and they stay in my mind, particularly when I'm out hiking, when I'm out in the hills. There's certain features of some of the books that come into my mind all the time. So fantasy is really the genre that I go to first. If I had to pick one genre just to read forevermore and jettison the rest, I mean, I would struggle to let classics go, honestly. But I probably would in favour of fantasy because, well, I'd say this is literature. I'd go as far as to say that because the writing is strong, the writing is literary. In fact, in some instances, you might struggle with some of the vocabulary because he does like to be heavy-handed with some of the esoteric vocab. But that's part of its charm. The writing style is... Anyway, I won't ramble on anymore. If you want to join click the link below, check out the links and see what you think. And you can listen to the podcast, which will be getting published over at theunbelievers.co. That's going to be our URL. So everything will be posted there, and then you'll get the podcast in your usual apps, etc. once it launches, which, as I said, I'm hoping will be Friday. And you can join in as my pal Barge and I discuss this book in depth. So, maybe I'll see you. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.